He's the voiceover studio engineer of the Stars in Los Angeles, California, a Virginia Tech grad with a knowledge of recording studios unmatched in his field. He's a voice actor from Buffalo, New York, with 30 years experience in recording studios and behind the mic. He solves people's home voiceover studio problems in the blink of an eye. Together, there's no studio problem they can't solve, and they'll do it for you tonight. Welcome to East West Audio Body Shop. Now, live from a basement in Buffalo and an office in LA, here are Dan Leonard and George Whittam.
And good evening. I'm Dan Leonard in the East.
And I'm George Whittam in the West.
And together we are East West Audio Body Shop. Well, happy Easter, everybody, and happy Passover. And oh, wow, too much food this weekend.
We had a nice breakfast this morning with some friends over. It was very pleasant. We didn't have to gorge, and we actually had a very enjoyable day so far, except Ella got a bee sting. That's the only bad thing that happened today.
Yeah, that's the great thing about this show. It's like, it's just our lives, you know, half an hour ago, I got to run to the drugstore.
I know, literally like 30 minutes ago, I was on my bike riding to CVS, so I'm back, and we're here.
And we're here. We're actually like, wow, we're like almost on time this week.
We could have actually started on time. At 6 o'clock, I was actually sitting here kind of twiddling my thumbs thinking, it's overrated.
No need for that.
Yeah, I don't want to give people too high a hope, the expectation level. Don't want to raise the bar too high.
That's right. I mean, does David Bowie come out, if his show starts at 9, is he out at 9?
Heck no.
Boy, I just dated myself. Anyway, yeah, you do look kind of bright tonight. It's kind of got the sun setting into the Pacific there. And
haven't got my blackout curtain. Maybe by episode 50, that'll be the special set change.
I can lend you my my graduation gown.
There you go. Actually, I have some black duvetine my wife uses as a backdrop, so maybe I should just put that.
Just throw it up there.
Should be done with it.
Yes. Anyway, we've got a great show. We had a great time at FAFFCON a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for your patience last week. We weren't on. George had to be in Atlanta, and it was just a rough week, and we needed a rest anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Last minute trip to Atlanta to look after a mother-in-law who just came out of surgery. So we were going to try to go for it, and then we were just like,
it's not worth it.
Yeah. So.
All right, but I'm sure you all understood. But we're back this week, and we've got a great guest tonight, somebody who does it all. Maybe you don't know him, maybe you do. If you follow the forums or you've been watching TV, you know this guy. Our guest tonight is attorney / voiceover actor / actor Sciglimpaglia is going to be our guest tonight, and he's going to talk about his new book called Voiceover Legal and about this great commercial he was in the Super Bowl and all his other stuff that he does in voiceover work, and that's going to be very interesting. So if you have any legal questions, jot them down now.
Oh, yeah. This is a valuable service to our listeners and our viewers. Definitely.
Right.
Anytime you can get legal advice, at least in passing, it's very handy. So we're very fortunate to have him.
That's right. Oh, he's going to be great. Also tonight, you've got some stuff you want to talk about new stuff versus old stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a great little piece tonight that'll totally blow your mind about file formats. It will make your eyes roll to the back of your head.
We promise.
We absolutely promise. I worked real hard on it. And I'm like, I'm trying to make it not too technical, but we'll get to that. Anyway, so let's get into the meat of the matter because that's why we're here. So what's new in the world of technology there, Georgie?
Well, there's always stuff coming out. I mean, we love to talk about the new stuff, and there's a few of us out there who have the wherewithal to play with new toys. Like our good buddy Bo Weaver. And you know what? I call Bo. Bo is like he is like the man. He's like a Marine. He's like the Marine of he is out there marching, blazing the trail, taking bullets for everybody. Because he is not afraid to go out and try new things and report back to his friends. And then we all benefit because whenever he sends something out to his friends, I'll repeat it. So what am I getting at? It's the whole concept of, do you go with the shiny and new or the tried and true? Now, if you're a gadget freak and you just can't help it,
Well,
some of us are. There is nothing wrong with trying out new stuff, but where it's the wrong place to try out the newest things is in your production environment. You know, hooking it to your computer or somewhere in your signal chain for an actual job, something that could affect your outcome of your work negatively, you know, in any way that could be a risk is never a good idea. Such as, you know, updating to a new operating system in the middle of a big project. If you're doing like long form book narration or something, never change a thing until that job, especially long form stuff like a book narration, is in the can. That thing needs to be done, delivered, sent, and everybody has to sign off on it. Don't change anything. Don't change microphones, cables, unless something goes wrong. Don't change a thing. Stick with what is tried and true and is consistent, and you're always going to be much better off that way. But when it comes to computers, don't install the latest updates every time they come along until you've checked with your audio drivers or check with us. Yeah. Check on the website
do it.
Check on the website for the manufacturer of the device you're working with. If it's an M-Box, go to avid.com. If it's M-Audio, go to maudio.com, so and so forth. And check the compatibility list. The thing that I've found, even with Apogee, who works, probably is the closest, has the closest relationship with Apple, and Dan is using his Apogee,
Apogee MiC, which we want to hear what you guys think of this.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that in a second too.
What was I going to say? Oh, I'm so easy to lose the train of thought.
Sorry.
It's okay. That intentionally. No, I'm so easy to derail. But even Apogee, who works really tightly with Apple, they admitted to me that they don't get the new update, let's say OS 10.7.2 or 10.7.3. They don't get it a day before anybody else does. And I swore up and down that they got things before everybody else. And they swore, no, that is not the case. So the point being is they don't know if there's going to be a problem until they test it, which is the same time that you're testing it. And that's not a good idea. So if at all possible, don't do updates until you've checked to make sure your software and hardware are going to work together. I mean, that's just a really, really, really important thing. You cannot afford to have your system. Let's just put it this way. If you can't afford to have your system go down, especially if you're working in a studio in Buffalo, and you don't have, a lot of studios within a 5-minute drive to work out of, your home studio is incredibly important to meeting your clients' needs. So don't take big risks.
I just run over to Peter's house.
Hey, you know what? It never hurts to find out if there's another voice actor in your neighborhood or within a few minutes drive. I mean, There are so many times where I hear of some of my clients running to another guy's place, or going to a studio downtown or somewhere nearby because something went down. Yeah. And, they'll call me right when that thing goes wrong. And, 5 times out of 10, half the time, is that what that means? Yeah. I'll be on a call with somebody else. And I don't like to pull away from a call I'm already on. And by the time they actually get a hold of me, they've either fixed it themselves because they were in a panic, or they left the house and ran off to a studio. So it never hurts to have a backup of some sort whenever you're experiencing any updates of any kind.
Yeah, I know Diane Merritt had to come over here this week because she was in town cleaning up some stuff, and she calls me, I have an emergency. I got to get it done. Come on over. No problem.
I was going to go visit her actually down in Georgia. Yep. She's in South Carolina, she's pretty close. She was within a couple hours drive, and I was looking forward to going to visit her, but she had to come up your way. So, having friends in this business, having this community in which you've got other people that will open their doors to you is such a wonderful thing. It's what they say, it's lonely at the top. And like my top clients, what I call my elites, they really, it's so competitive, and the scheduling is so tight. It's a very stressful work environment for them, and it's not possible for them on the majority of the time to run to another guy's studio because the other guy is busy too, and he can't have you jumping in and using his studio. So take advantage of the fact that you may not be that under the gun. Make friends, get to know other people around you, so you always have a backup. Some of my clients literally have 2 of everything. I mean, Bill Ratner, I know for a fact, has 2 mixers, 2 Telos Zephyrs, 2, I mean, go down the list, 2 of everything. And it's because if something goes wrong, he wants me to be able to drive over there and do a swap, or he'll do it himself if he can, So,
Yep. Well, I always keep double of everything. Well, I have a collection of microphones. I've got several different ways to input into my computers. I have, well, all right. I have the iMac. I have a MacBook. I have an iPad. I have an iPhone. Now using this with the Apogee mic.
I can't think of a better backup than the Apogee mic if you're a Mac user.
Oh, absolutely. Your audio just went bananas on me there, George.
Oh, sorry. Am I okay now?
No, you're all distorted now.
Oh, I'm clipping? Oh,
yeah, no,
weird.
it's just distorting.
I'm
See,
sorry.
there it is. There's our crash this week.
Yeah, well, it's going out on the air clean, so as far as I know. So it's only
okay.
the feed to you. So we'll fix it during the break. Sorry.
Okay.
Can you
anyway.
understand me, though?
Yeah, sort of.
Okay. It never fails.
Yeah, you're coming in at about 8, maybe 4 bit. You sound like Mario. Anyway,
How about now? Is it cleaner now?
Anyway, but I keep a lot of this stuff. I want to have total backup. I can do it on an iPad now with the mic. We were testing the Apogee mic with my iPhone this week. Fabulous. I was so thrilled that I now know if I'm absolutely desperate, I can walk into a closet with my iPhone and my Apogee mic, and if I set it up right, it's going to sound just fine. And I actually was using it when we were out in California. I was using it, and I've been testing it out. I'm actually pretty impressed with it. You're listening to me on it now. How does it sound to everybody out there?
Well, everybody's saying, another voice just said I sound fine. So I just want to make sure that everybody, as long as I sound fine, everything's fine. No, you sound brighter and cleaner than usual because you're usually on an older dynamic mic. So
Right.
You've got more top end. Even over Skype, I can actually hear the difference. It's pretty amazing.
Well, cool.
Yes, Apogee, the new sponsor. We can only hope, right?
We're
can only
hoping.
be so lucky.
Guys, they're around the corner from you.
Yeah,
Give them a call.
we only talk about Apogee like every darn show. I mean, jeez. Yeah. But, for a reason. I mean, when you make a tool that works and it's the right tool for the job, we'll talk about it. If it changes next week, we'll talk about who the next company is, But
yes, and there's lots of other new technology that's going to make it a lot simpler. And that's the cool thing about technology. Anybody can do it, but still, guys, remember, 90% of your sound comes from your acoustical environment.
That's right.
And most mics are good enough, and that's the most important thing.
Most mics are good enough. I mean, that's the truth. I mean, it's the hard truth that most mics that are designed for studio recording are surprisingly good. I mean, I think it's much more rare to find a mic that's really bad, than it is to find a mic that stands out above the rest. Would you kind of agree nowadays?
Oh yeah. Oh, I've listened to so many different microphones, and there's some really, the more expensive microphones, the reason they're expensive is because they're so sensitive. And if you live next to a train yard, you don't want to have an attenuated
they're sensitive.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. Really no low noise floor, and they really shine in a really great, pristine studio environment. But most of us aren't lucky enough to have that. As you can see from my the space I'm working in, I'm using a dynamic mic because it rejects a lot of background noise. And I'm talking pretty loudly. I'm using a noise gate. I'm throwing a lot of filtering at it. But I think that was something we were talking about, Dan. Nobody confuse what you're hearing on the show and what you're seeing in regards to equipment with what you want to do in a voiceover studio. It really is different. If you're new to voiceover and you're seeing what we're using, and don't use this as an example or as a model. We're doing a show, we're doing a radio show. We want it to sort of sound like a radio show. And because of that, we're using equipment that lends itself to that. But, those who are kind of new to this thing, don't get confused by seeing this Audix D4 dynamic microphone in front of me.
Hey, don't use one of those.
If it's laying around and you need a backup mic, it sounds pretty darn good. But it's not my go-to mic. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Here was this other thing that we've been lucky enough to use. This it's upside down. The cloud lifter.
Yeah,
which
the cloud lifter.
we were using on.
You're siloning when your USB is going. Blah, 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 blah. Talk to me.
What? Can you hear me?
Unplug your USB and plug it back into your mic. Just unplug and plug back in.
Maybe that's the problem.
No, yeah, maybe that is it. Unplug it and plug it back in.
All right.
Okay, you're clean. It's
I'm
working
clean now.
Yeah.
I'm clean, but you're not.
I don't know. Let me do the same thing.
Really?
Actually, I can't do that without getting up. I have to crawl around the back. We'll do that when we take a break, I promise.
I think it's time to take a break here and solve this problem because you sound like you're calling me from Venus.
Yeah. I think we're both having USB. If this is something I learned from watching Twit, all the This Week in Tech shows. Whenever one of the callers on Skype starts, they call it siloning, where it goes brr, brr, unplug, replug USB, and it fixes it. Yeah. So we'll take a break and we'll clean things up on our end. And
we'll be right back.
We will be right back.
This is East West Audio Body Shop with Dan Leonard in the East and George Whittam in the West. Now back to Dan and George.
And we're back, and I can actually hear better now.
Thank goodness.
Talk to me. How does that sound?
I did the same thing that you did, Dan. All I did was unplug my USB and plugged it back in, and voila.
Voila.
Voila. It's a problem that's specifically Skype related. It's like a word clock or some kind of syncing problem that gets out of whack with Skype occasionally. And the only way to fix it that I've found, other than restarting Skype, is just to unplug and plug back in the audio device.
Amazing. Well, it's working now.
Figured.
You have my picture. You've got George's picture. And somebody saying, are we doing this by Skype? Totally by Skype.
Dan, yeah, believe it or not, Dan's picture, which looks about as good as mine. Actually, tonight it's even better looking, I think. The color's better. Yep. Is Skype. That is actually Skype, and what you're hearing of Dan is Skype too. So this is basically shows you how good Skype can look and sound when you've got a really good internet connection on both ends of the chain. I mean, we're both fortunate enough to have fiber optic, so we both have really good pipes. And since we're both on Verizon Fios, we probably have the best possible connection you can get across the country. At least in a consumer home setup. So it works out real well. I mean, before I moved here, I was on Time Warner, and it was terrible. We had show dropouts, and frame rate was crappy, and it was terrible. So, hey, I hope I never have to move out of here. But I'm hearing rumors that our landlord wants to move back to our old house, and I'm not looking forward to that.
Well, you're always welcome here. We have lots of room.
Thank you. I also hear we're welcome in Atlanta, Georgia area, but nice place to visit, but wouldn't want to live there.
Where you live, it's gorgeous. Just have to watch out for the birds.
Yeah, and the tourists.
Well, George and I were driving to FAFFCON a couple of weeks ago, and we were just about to pull on the PCH, and we thought a bird dropped an egg on us.
Oh my God.
You remember that? Like, whoa!
Yes.
Good thing it was a brand new car too. The windshield wipers, nice and crisp.
Yes, they worked very well.
they really did. Anyway, George, why don't you put up now? People have been sending me pictures lately. If you've been on Facebook at all, I mean, there was the baby with the mustache, and then Paul came up with these things today. See if you can find these. You guys find these things. I'm like, are you like spending your time trying to find these things? Come on now. That was interesting.
Brilliant. We got the we got this one.
No, go back to the other one.
Go back to the other one.
Yeah,
with the brown.
Rabbit. Or was that a pig? I can't remember. It's a what is that a pig or a rabbit?
It's a pig rabbit. I don't know. It's very funny though.
Yeah, I mean, I've been getting all sorts of weird stuff. I mean, of course, Judy sends me the bandages. I got one. Here's one I got today. Let's see if I can reach it. No, I can't reach it. My headphone's too short. It says, "With great mustache comes great responsibility."
That's brilliant.
It is very quotable.
I need a thing now. I need a thing. Maybe I should grow a goatee, or lamb chops. Maybe I need big lamb
You mean mutton chops?
Mutton chops.
You look like Martin Van Buren.
Maybe I just need a neck beard, actually.
And you're becoming Amish. That'd be different. Anyway, let's move on into our next piece of subject matter here. I'm always searching for things. Guys, if you want me to do a feature or a tip of the week on something specific, let us know. Write to us here at ewabshop@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to do it. I'm thinking, what am I going to talk about this week? Well, it hits me, I guess Friday afternoon, and I have to spend a little bit of time on these things. These are not minor little productions. But this week we're going to talk about file formats, because everybody asks about file formats. And so why don't you roll that footage, and we'll come back and we'll discuss that when we come back. So pay close attention, guys.
Roll that beautiful bean footage.
Almost everyone is familiar with the most commonly used file formats for audio. Let's see, WAV, AIFF, and MP3. But what about AAC and WMV? What's the purpose of the existence of these separate formats, and why do they extend the list of all these available formats to save as? Is there any real difference between which extension a particular file is saved as long as it's appropriate for the media being saved? You guys ask a lot of questions, but I believe I should probably provide some answers because that's why you click in every week. Okay, so here's a guide to file formats. First, some technical jargon. File format, a specific way to encode data that is to be saved as a file. Please note that the file format doesn't do any encoding on its own. The encoding is left up to the codecs. Okay, what's a codec? A codec is a program or algorithm that encodes or decodes data to convert a file between these different formats. The popular media codecs are generally for shrinking a file, what we call file compression, not to be confused with audio compression. Bitrate. Okay, bitrate is the number of bits processed per second by your computer. To put things into perspectives, MP3s have a bitrate of about 128 kilobytes per second, while CDs generally have bit rates around 1.4 megabits per second. Sample rate. Sample rate is the number of samples of audio carried per second, measured in hertz or kilohertz, 1 kilohertz being 1,000 hertz. For example, 44,100 samples per second can be expressed as either 44,000 hertz or 44.1 kilohertz. Bandwidth. Now, bandwidth is the difference between the highest and lowest frequencies carried in an audio stream. The sample rate of playback or recording determines the maximum audio frequency that can be reproduced. Okay, now that I've sufficiently lost you, let's explain audio file formats. Okay, AIFF and WAV. These are both uncompressed lossless formats, which means it takes about 10 megabytes to save about a minute's worth of audio. AIFF was developed for Apple's operating system and WAV for PCs, although both formats are compatible with both operating systems. WAV is the format preferred by PC-wielding audiophiles. Mac users are supposed to use the AIFF file format. But guess what? It seems to make no difference. AAC. AAC is Apple's default audio format. AAC is a lossy compression scheme that was developed to replace MP3, but never achieved the prominence that MP3 has with listeners. Some argue that AAC produces the same quality audio at 96 kilobytes per second as an MP3 does at 128 kilobytes per second. But with recent developments in MP3 codecs, particularly lame, MP3s have performed far better in listening tests against AAC than in previous years. Nevertheless, when it comes to a sound quality to file size ratio, AAC beats MP3. But try and tell your clients that. Okay, what is an MP3? An MP3 is a form of file compression. It's an acronym that stands for MPEG-1 Audio Layer 3. And how does it work? As a form of compression, MP3 is based on a psychoacoustic model which recognizes that the human ear cannot hear all the audio frequencies on a recording. The human hearing range is between 20 Hz and 20 kHz. When a sound is compressed into an MP3 file, an attempt is made to get rid of the frequencies that can't be heard. As such, this is known as destructive compression. After a file is compressed, the data that you get rid of on an MP3 can't be replaced. When encoding a file into MP3, a variety of compression levels can be set. For instance, an MP3 created with 128 kilobyte compression will be of greater quality and larger file size than one with 56 kbit compression. But the more the compression level decreases, the lesser the sound quality. For example, with waves, have you ever done any telephony where you have to compress to an 8-bit wave ULAW? It ends up sounding like this. So, why do clients ask for different formats? It depends on the end use and the end user. Even though you now know that any format will probably work on some other video production software that your client may be using, for the most part, they may not and are stuck in their ways of doing things. Although, truth be told, some older programs they might be using may not be compatible. Bottom line, until they figure it out, give them what they ask for. And that's my tip of the week.
Very, very nice.
Well, thank you very much. I did my research.
Yeah, you did your homework. Very nice.
Yeah.
I don't have much to dispute on that one.
Really?
Yeah, sorry, man.
Wow. I mean, somebody was asking about FLAC. Who gives a FLAC about FLAC?
Right. There are some formats that really are they're what am I trying to say? Spit it out. They're for consumer audio. They're for like listening, people that are audiophiles. And FLAC is basically a version of is a compression scheme that is a non-destructive compression. So it doesn't degrade the audio, it just reduces the data size. So a FLAC file might be, I don't know, half to maybe a quarter the size of the WAV file, something like that. Right. And it really works great, but it's just, the problem is there's standards in our business. And until something becomes a new standard that we all need to use, right, it's not going to be used. It could be used. OGG is another one, but if no one's using it in our industry, then, who cares?
Yeah, they're really not. We're kind of limited. I mean, we have all sorts of choices in our software and stuff, but we don't really have a whole lot to, that we really want to choose from. Clients are either asking for waves or they're asking for MP3s. Some are calling for AIFFs because they haven't read the manual lately or played with their software.
No, they're Mac. Mac users tend to They tend to default to AIFF, right?
Not really. I send WAV files anywhere, and they're like, one or two clients says, "Can you send that as an AIFF?" Why? It doesn't take waves. You mean it does? Yeah, try the wave.
It's actually amazing how often your client doesn't know what they're talking about.
No, well, I had one client that wanted WMVs.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, God, those sound like crap. And they're like, well, no, this is, they're using, what's the name of the software? I can't remember.
Real Player? I don't know. WMV is like another MP3 flavor, and
it sucks.
It's a Windows specific codec, so we need things that are universal like MP3. and wave.
Right.
You know, what was another codec? Somebody actually did ask a pretty good question. Cat the mic. She said, or he said, I was told to save master files in wave. Is that true? Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You should always be working.
Somebody
in wave
told
file.
something right for once.
Yeah, wave files, being an uncompressed format, should be the format of choice when you're saving and working, creating working files that you're going to work from.
Absolutely.
Only the final deliverable should ever be compressed into MP3, if at all.
Right.
You know?
And don't make the mistake about file compression and audio compression. They're two totally different things.
Yeah. We're not talking about dynamic compression.
We're talking about digital compression.
Yeah, it's two different things. But
it's not this, it's this.
right. That can be confusing when you're just talking. When you say compression out of context, it's which is it? What are you talking about? So,
all right. So we'll just refer to it as destructive compression.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
I mean, if you use a spectrograph, and that's why I use that graphic on there, it clearly shows that it just takes off a huge chunk of the top end of stuff that you can't really hear. Yeah. And so the idea is, if you can't hear it, why use it and save yourself, and cut the file size down by half?
Yeah, it's a complex algorithm, really complex algorithm. And in fact, it figures out where there's pieces of audio that are masked, like where a quieter thing is masked by a louder thing. And it figures out, well, that's not audible, and removes it. I don't know. It's incredible. When I was in college in 92, we were making MP3s on, DOS, right, on the PC. To make one wave file, like a 3-minute song, into an MP3, you had to start it going, go to bed, wake up in the morning, and it would be finished making an MP3.
Wow, how convenient.
Yeah. That's how much, the processing power has advanced. Now we're recording MP3s on a cell phone, it's mind-blowing.
Yeah. All righty. Well, hopefully that answered all your questions, or your eyes are rolling and you're like, what was he talking about? Hopefully I made that a little bit simpler for you. It's something you do need to understand, so pay attention when I do this stuff. Anyway, we have a great guest coming up next. Rob Sciglimpaglia is going to be here talking about what he's up to and voiceover law. This is the greatest show ever this week. All right, we'll be right back here on East West Audio Body Shop, so you stay right where you are.
El Dorado Recording Services.
Randy Thomas chiming in.
This is Alex Verdi.
Hi, this is Bill Ratner in Los Angeles.
Hi, this is Scott Rummel here in Yorba Linda, California.
Hi, my name is Rick Wasserman.
Hi, this is Tom Kane.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Marshall.
Hi, my name is Zurich.
Hi, I'm Mary McKittrick.
Hi, I'm Peter McHugh.
I was turned on to George by none other than Don LaFontaine, who always swore by his health.
George is absolutely awesome.
ISDN, Source Connect, Phone Patch, FTP, you name it, George has set it up.
It's really the best thing I've ever done for myself. I feel free, safe, fearless, like anything is possible in here.
Unless you like to look for opportunities to waste time, call George.
And he did all of that, long distance over the phone and the internet.
I'm very happy with George, and I cherish
I've got my travel kit, I got my Source Connect, I've got it all going on, thanks to you.
Thanks, George. You make it easy.
This is East West Audio Body Shop with Dan Leonard in the East and George Whittam in the West. Two guys I love spending Sunday nights with.
And we're back here on East West Audio Body Shop. Thanks for joining us on this Easter Sunday. We got a huge crowd tonight. You guys don't care what day it is. You're here. You want to watch the show, and we're glad to have you. And one of the people we're really glad to have tonight is a good friend of ours. This is somebody who I can say is actually a good friend of ours, not somebody like, some guy out in California. It's like, we actually know this guy. The man who is an attorney, a voice actor and an actor and the hardest pronounced name in the entire voiceover industry. Rob Sciglimpaglia, welcome to East West Audio Body Shop.
How you doing, Dad? Great to be here. Sciglimpaglia, not that hard. Come on.
Okay.
It should be in the like pronouncement dictionary of like every voice actor.
That's right.
Pronounce this man's name.
Yes.
There you go. That's the first test. And
Yeah.
then you can be a voiceover artist.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you've had one great week here. I mean, maybe some people are familiar with this commercial that you did at the Super Bowl. I mean, if everyone was watching the Super Bowl and they're all going, "Hey, there's Rob." It's why don't we just George, you got that one queued up there?
Give me like 30 seconds and I'll have it.
We'll talk about it. You got this job and how did you get this particular commercial?
Well, it was actually networking. So the power of networking. The woman who played my wife, the mom, Jamie Keohane, she got me that job. She recommended me to the writer director, and she had worked with Linda, who played the girlfriend, and Linda knew the director. So the director asked Linda if she knew a mom and she recommended Jamie, and then the director asked Jamie if she knew somebody who could play her husband, and she recommended me. I had done an off-Broadway play with her about 3 months prior, so that's how she knew me and how I worked with her, and that's how I ended up getting that job.
Networking.
That's amazing. Yep.
Yeah, y'all think it's like, how many tapes should I send to an agent? Well, first off, don't send tapes. If you do, you know where those are going to end up.
I got that video up here. Should we run that real quick?
Here's this commercial in case you're under a rock somewhere.
Under a rock, right. Let me change the screen region, crop this in a little bit better.
Okay.
And here we go.
A blindfold, Mom? Really?
Happy graduation, sweetie.
I can't believe you.
Should we tell him? No, let him tire out first. Not yet. He's losing steam.
Marrying you right now.
I'm marrying you right now.
Hey, Steve. Love the car.
Best gift ever.
Love the car.
Best gift ever. Yes, best gift ever. Hey, Mr. Johnson just stole my car.
Freaking brilliant.
That's a great spot. That was such a thrill to see you on there, and you're having a great time right now. I mean, you're doing stuff on Broadway. Wow. I mean, how many different projects are you working on right now?
Well, right now 4 actually.
Wow.
I have not including voiceover. I don't include that in the mix. Just I have a couple of audiobooks that I'm working on too. But I have 2 feature films that I just got hired to do. I'm doing a short film this weekend, and I'm doing a national TV show on Thursday and Friday. So,
fantastic!
Lots of stuff going on.
Have you been on Law and Order yet?
No, not yet.
Oh, come on!
Not yet. One of these days we'll. I've auditioned a couple times, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, if you ever go to a play that's like it's on the road, a good show comes to Buffalo, or if you're on Broadway, you look at somebody's credits, and everybody's credit is Law and Order. They've all been on Law and Order.
Yep, definitely
keeps a lot of people working. It's a good show.
Maybe it's because I'm a lawyer, so they don't want to hire me.
Maybe. Well, maybe they should hire you as a lawyer. I don't know. It makes perfect sense.
There you go.
Yeah. Now, how do you put all this stuff together with being an attorney?
It's just a matter of managing my time. I try to the voiceover stuff I do at night. I have certain periods of time during the day that I try to get everything done. Unless emergencies come up, it usually works out. I prioritize. So family comes first. That's my top priority. And then, I'll figure out which jobs come in that are going to pay, which ones I like the most. So that's kind of how I prioritize. And then every once in a while I'll have a conflict. So that's when I have my support system. I'm of counsel for a couple of law firms. So I can get them to cover for a lot of my things that come up for law-wise if I get an acting job that comes in. And they're very supportive of me. They want me to become famous, as they say. So they definitely help me out, and my family helps me out. It's just a matter of prioritizing, and things seem to work out.
Yeah. Well, that was great, that you got to do that spot. Now, it was nominated for the best commercial in the world or something, or
it's going to be shown on the CBS primetime special called the Best Clash of the Commercials. best commercials of the U.S. versus the best commercials of the world.
Wow.
On May 21st. So it's going to be, they're going to do a little feature on that commercial and a whole bunch of other ones too. But
yeah. What was it like on the set of that? I mean, I'm sure a lot of the folks that, who are in our audience have done, maybe some local spots or some national spots. So what's it like to be on that? Looked like it was in your neighborhood more than anything else, but was that like the front of your house? Or?
It looked like you were shooting a student film almost.
It pretty much, it wasn't my house. It was at it was the camera operator's family's house in Floral Park, New York. And they were student filmmakers. They had gone to school together a few years back and started up their own company. And when we shot that, we didn't think anything about Super Bowl because it was a spec commercial at the time. Right. We definitely had fun. I mean, everyone was getting along. Brett Siddell, the lead actor, the guy, the kid, one who plays the kid, he's a stand-up comedian. So he comes right in, right when he gets on set, and he's like, "Hey, you two are much better looking than my parents." He starts joking around right away. So that's how it started out, just by us laughing, and we had a great time. And then next thing we know, Chevy likes it, and they're putting it into the Super Bowl contest, and then it wins, and then it ends up on the Super Bowl. So it was like this. It kind of was almost like a student film atmosphere when we were shooting it, which taught me another lesson: is that I always give 100% when I'm doing my shoots, because I never know where they're going to go.
That's right.
It doesn't matter if it's a $10 million production or a student production. You never know where they're going to end up. So. That ended up on the Super Bowl in front of 140 million people, and it was definitely a thrill.
My geek side wants to know, what did you shoot it on?
It was on one of the Canons. I think it was either a 5D or a 7D.
Yeah,
one of those SLRs. Very, a really nice camera, but
very affordable.
Very affordable. There's a lot of student and independent productions using those cameras now, so I'm getting familiar with them and how they work. And
all right. Yeah. Well, we're starting to get some legal questions here. It's like, there's a lawyer on. Ask the lawyer. You've got a book coming out right now. Tell us about that. It's called Voiceover Legal.
Correct. Yes, Voiceover Legal, being published by voiceoverextra.com. John Florian. Hopefully coming out this week. We had a little delay because of the merger, the SAG-AFTRA merger. So
distraction.
I had to rewrite that chapter.
Oh, you had to rewrite? Yeah, right.
I didn't want to put it out with old information since it's an ebook, so I rewrote it, and so it should come out. It should be coming out this week if everything goes right, and it covers everything. I've been putting the book together for years, 4 or 5 years now. Every time people ask me a question, I kind of put them aside. So I took all those questions and compiled them into chapters. And, it covers a lot of different areas over the voiceover, the business, setting up companies, LLCs, taxes, agents, agency agreements, unions. I cover a lot of different areas. And I also try to put a little bit of myself into it too, by doing question answers. So it's not dry legal reading. It's pretty interesting reading, I think, anyway.
Well, it's relevant. It's relevant to us in the voice business, which is why we would buy it in the first place.
And it's definitely relevant. Absolutely.
So, for example, you were talking about the union merger. How has that changed things? You don't have to give us chapter and verse, but how is that changing things legally?
Well, I mean, the big change in the union now is that AFTRA was an open union, so that meant any of us could have joined. SAG wasn't. SAG, you needed to do the Super Bowl commercial, which turned out to be a SAG commercial. Then you'd be able to qualify to join SAG. That's gone now. Now it's the SAG rules of entry. So there's no more open union. So now it's SAG AFTRA, one union. So anyone that was in AFTRA or SAG before the merger are now full members. And I wasn't AFTRA before, so now I'm a full member of SAG-AFTRA, so now I can work on SAG or AFTRA productions, vice versa. AFTRA members can work on either, SAG can work on either.
Right.
So it's going to take a couple of years to get it where it's all SAG-AFTRA productions, because they're still using the old contracts. So until they run out and they renegotiate, things are not going to change too much. It's just now all the union members are under one umbrella. It's going to be $3,000 to join now, initiation fee. You need to qualify by doing a production, SAG-AFTRA production, and then you can qualify to join. So those are the main changes in a nutshell.
Go ahead, George.
No,
you
have to.
No, after you.
No, you have to, sir. No, after you.
Okay.
Age before beauty.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about agencies. Now, you probably have 10 or 11 agents yourself. Compared to my 4, what are some of the legal issues that you have to deal with when you're getting an agent or dealing with an agent?
Well, that's actually probably the most important legal issue for an actor, a voiceover artist to deal with, and that is when we sign on with an agent, the agent's going to have you sign a contract, and that is, in my opinion, that's the most important contract that any voiceover artist should have reviewed by an entertainment lawyer, because there's so many different kind of contracts. There's no more union franchised contract anymore. That went away a few years ago. So a voiceover act, there's all different kinds of contracts, and there's all different provisions that I've seen in those contracts. So it's very important for an entertainment attorney to look over those things and make sure that the voice actor is not getting locked up or getting shelved, as I call it, where they can be signed by an agent and the agent doesn't do what they're supposed to get you out there, and you end up not getting a lot of auditions and not being able to get out of your contract.
Right.
So that's really getting that contract reviewed. Really, in my opinion, that's the most important thing that you can do.
Yeah.
As a voiceover artist.
Now we all contract for business, and I think most of the time, if we're doing corporate stuff, we sign what's called an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And now, does that serve as a contract? Because the ones I've seen are all like, you're going to do this, or you're going to do that, we're going to pay you for this. Does that constitute a contract?
Absolutely. I mean, most of the time, contracts will have confidentiality or non-disclosure language in them. So, yeah, I mean, that's your contract when you're signing that. Absolutely. So that's another area where an entertainment attorney can help developing your own contracts, reviewing those contracts from production companies. They run the gamut, because I've seen all different kinds of language. And actually in the book, I give a sample contract. I go over different languages and different contracts that I've seen where I've had to intervene and negotiate on behalf of talent.
Yeah,
and that's one thing. Go ahead, George.
No, I'm sorry. No, please finish your thought.
I was just going to say that's one area where a lot of voice artists are they get kind of nervous, because they're like, they don't want anyone to negotiate with the agent because they're afraid the agent's not going to sign them. If someone starts negotiating, a lawyer jumps in and starts negotiating, and it's not true. It's absolutely not true. Though a lot of times the agencies don't really know what's in their contracts, so it's a standard one for them. So if it's a legitimate agency, and I can also help with the red flags that I see as to whether the agency is legit or not, they shouldn't balk. And I've never had any legitimate agency balk about a talent going in saying they want this or that done. And, it's usually pretty routine. It's part of the business. So
I would think that it actually shows your professionalism if you bring in an attorney, and it shows that you got your act together.
Absolutely. And it protects them too, because then you can't make the argument later on that, they were overreaching or they were taking advantage of you somehow. So if you have an attorney, it's a business deal, and so it protects the agency as well.
I've got a couple of questions that I've been compiling them. There's a lot of good questions. One of them, does a voiceover artist need, I don't know if this is in your vein, but does a voiceover artist need liability insurance?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Good question. You don't necessarily need liability insurance in all instances. I would say, this is another chapter in my book, by the way. So
cool.
It's a great question.
Go out and get the book.
If you're operating a studio outside of your home, I would say you definitely should get liability insurance. If you have anyone that you're outsourcing to, so if you have employees or people that you think are independent contractors that could make a claim as an employee, I would say you should get insurance. If you're home in your own home, doing voiceover work, not sending things out. Just things come in, you voice, you send them out, but via email. You probably don't need liability insurance in those instances. But once you start to expand and start to think about getting employees and start to get an outside studio, that's when I would say you have to start thinking about getting liability insurance to cover you.
Cool. Well, that's something I'm going to read about, because I'm always trying to figure out how much coverage and whether I'm different. I'm a techie, but I have to go out in the field all the time. So it's something I've been thinking about.
Yeah. If you're going outside, that's where I'm saying you should think about liability insurance, because if you cause damage to somebody's house for whatever reason, I'm sure it's going to be unintentionally. You want the coverage. I mean, that's the whole point.
Sometimes I'm concerned, like, what if a client of mine that relies on me for support says that because I didn't fix something right, or I wasn't available on a moment's notice by phone to fix something, they lost a big job. And as you know, with voiceover, with promo and stuff, you can lose a gig to somebody else, and now somebody else is the voice of, XYZ show.
Sure,
that
absolutely.
kind of stuff.
If you're on retainer with that client,
yeah, that
would be an argument. So that would be a reason to get business insurance, because that would be one of the things that would cover.
Mm-hmm.
So sure.
Definitely. How about, does having your client agree to terms in an email suffice as legal agreement?
It does. Yep.
Okay.
You can have verbal agreements, but I don't recommend verbal agreements, because it's easy just to put it in an email, and you can put all the important terms can go in email back and forth, and then you're covered. So.
Excellent. Can I pound out one or two more questions?
Go for it.
Okay. Somebody said my local attorney that handles all my other matters, is that not necessarily who should review my voiceover legal matters?
If they have knowledge about the entertainment business, the voiceover business, sure. But I have personally gone over contracts where people have sent them to me and said, "Oh, my attorney wrote this," and I just tore them up, because it shows to me no knowledge of the business, of the entertainment business. So if that person knows the entertainment business, knows the voiceover business, that's fine. But if not, it's gonna be worthless. It's not gonna protect you the way that you think you're being protected. So, setting up LLCs, things like that, you can use local attorneys. That's pretty routine.
Mm-hmm.
When you're getting into drafting a voiceover contract, I would say use an entertainment lawyer, someone that understands unions, agencies, all of those things in the entertainment world.
Oh, right. That's good. Another one popped up about logos. Oh, go ahead, Dan.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, if you get an attorney who doesn't know what they're talking about, perhaps they should buy your book.
Absolutely.
Right. Exactly.
And I have actually advised attorneys too. I've gotten calls from attorneys all over the country asking me questions specific to the voiceover business, because they have clients, and so that's fine too. I mean, we attorneys are always going to other specialists in our that aren't in our areas to ask questions all the time.
I mean, it's just like people that are brilliant engineer, technical people, even occasionally hire me because I'm so specialized, and it's just this one particular discipline. It really helps to specialize and focus. Logos of companies that we've done work for, do we have to ask them permission to put their logos or anything on our websites?
On our websites, yeah.
You should. Yes. And I have gotten the faxes and emails from the cease and desist letters that people have received from those logos.
Isn't it funny?
So you should ask permission for those
you're thinking you're giving them free promotional consideration. You're putting their logo on your website, but that's just not how it works.
Yep. I mean, most of the time it's fine.
Yeah.
Most of the time they don't complain, but every once in a while they do. So, and usually they're not going to say no if you ask for permission.
Never hurts to ask them.
Exactly. So then you're covered. So
awesome.
Great. Well, that's a lot of information there. And
Thank you.
I think everybody who's in the voiceover business should probably pick up this publication of yours. You have a copy of it there you can show us?
I don't actually. It's because it's an ebook, so I don't have.
It's an ebook.
It's actually not. I printed one out for myself just to review, obviously, but I don't have.
That answers the can I get a signed copy?
Yeah.
Well, actually, at Voice at the Voice conference, I am doing a presentation and we're talking obviously about some of these things. agencies and unions and all these great things. So we're going to print a little limited run.
Oh, cool.
For Voice. So anyone that comes to Voice, I can give you a little autographed copy, or you can print out your PDF and I'll sign it for you. So
as long as you're not on opposite George and mine's presentation.
Right.
I'm on Saturday, so I don't.
Oh, okay. No, I think we're on Thursday, so that'll be good. You should all come to Voice 2012 and meet this guy and ask him questions. He'll never get to sleep. Everybody's going to say, talk to the lawyer.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
good question about
it's fine.
Being an EPUB book. I'm always curious. Will you keep doing additions to it or little addendums? As time goes on.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
That's why we decided to update the Union chapter before it went out, because we didn't want it to be out of date right away as soon as it got released. So, yeah, we're going to be regularly updating it. And, the law is obviously one area that changes constantly. So it's perfect for doing an ebook and being able to do updates to it.
So it's available at Amazon, at VoiceOver Extra. Where else can they get it?
VoiceOverExtra.com. It'll be on it should be on this week, hopefully. You're keeping fingers crossed. And then after that, it'll be Amazon and Barnes & Noble, all the ebook, hopefully on Apple. It'll be all those outlets.
Great.
Normally where you can buy ebooks, it'll be available there.
Fantastic. All right. Well, you're the only lawyer I know who's also a voice actor. That makes that you have such a niche.
Yeah, I mean, it's
this business is all about niches, man. Niches.
Yeah.
Exactly, and both of them have served the other well too. Like law has helped voiceover's helped law, so they go together. They go together well.
That's great, and now you can do legal commercials. You have the best legal commercials out there.
There you go. Sure.
Anyway, Rob, it's been fabulous having you on the show, and you've answered some great questions here. God, you know a lot of stuff. You're doing so much stuff. I want to catch up to you.
Yeah, I'm always running. I'm always marketing and networking, and it's
hustling.
I have fun doing it. Hustling. There you go.
Yeah,
having fun doing it too.
All right. Well, thanks for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Rob. Have a great one, man.
You too. Take care. Thanks.
All right. So, Rob Sciglimpaglia is our guest. He was fabulous. And you can, of course, watch this anytime on YouTube in case you have all these questions. And you can even get the answers just by going back and watching the show again.
That's right.
We're a great reference. Anyway, what do we got coming up? We've got Pictures of the Week.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we do. And I got a few more little tidbits about some of the news stuff I didn't talk about at the beginning of the show. We'll jump back into. So we'll tag on a couple more things on the end, too.
A couple of little legal problems, little technical problems there, and probably legal problems, too. But anyway, Rob, come back. All right, we'll be right back after this message.
This is East West Audio Body Shop with Dan Leonard in the East and George Whittam in the West. Now back to two characters that didn't have anything else better to do, Dan and George.
All right, we're back here on East West Audio Body Shop. And boy, it was great having Rob on. Boy, he knows a lot of stuff.
Yes, he does.
What a great resource to have in our business is somebody like Rob who's, knows the legal stuff, is a big time actor, and
very humble,
and very humble about it, which is a great thing about him. And I have a lot of dealings with him in other areas, and he's just a great guy to know. Another great guy to know. See how I cleverly put that segue in there? Nice segue. Thank you. Our very good friend Harlan Hogan, who we need to have on our show again pretty soon, because not only is he a great guy and he knows a lot, but he also has a fantastic website. If you are a voice actor and are looking for the stuff that works, is not all that expensive, and he's got great service, and that is voiceoveressentials.com. And what's he featuring this week?
Well, let's see what's on the front page. Well, he's got a little scrolling promotion for some of the hot products. He's got the MicPort Pro on there, which is, I think, the original, to my knowledge, the first USB interface that plugs right into a mic that was of professional quality.
And, with phantom power.
With phantom power, yeah, with zero latency headphone monitoring. And he sold it as a bundle with his VO1A mic. So, you know, for those of you who like the simplicity of a USB mic, but want a little more flexibility and want to be able to use it with a lot of different microphones, you know, it's a good product to consider. And it's also Mac and PC compatible. So I love the Apogee 1. That's one of my favorites, but it is truly Mac only. So if you're looking for something you can throw in your bag, the MicPort Pro is just, it's a killer tool.
Yeah, it's a great thing to have on the road with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, the Portabooth Pro, which I know a lot of people are using. And we're going to have to do a little seminar on one of those things on how you really use that, because when you use it right, it works fabulous. There's a nice shot of the VO1A with the MicPort Pro into it. What a great combination.
Yeah, and he's constantly updating the website. Now he's got like this really nice slideshow of the image. I mean, he does not rest on his laurels. He's always you know, tweaking things and making improvements. And
yeah, I know personally he has this webmaster in a dungeon under his house. you call him up, you hear these whiplashes every now and again.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you want the stuff and you want to get it at a great price, get it in a hurry from somebody, a reputable dealer who's made some great choices. He doesn't have lots of stuff there. He's got the stuff that he knows works, and he wants you to use it as well. Harlan Hogan and VoiceOver Essential. Thank you for sponsoring us, Harlan. Always a pleasure to talk about your place, because we shop there all the time.
Thanks, Harlan.
All righty. Well, we're back here on East West Audio Body Shop. What a great show.
It's been an awesome show.
I mean, all our shows are great. I mean, we had a great time at FAFFCON, but this hardly any technical problems with this one.
Yeah, we're doing okay. Jinx.
Yeah, that's right.
You know,
we're almost through. I think we're going to get away with it this time.
What are since we didn't really get to have a kind of a debriefing after FAFFCON on our show, I know you always talk about nuggets and gold nuggets, and that's a big part. Did you come back with one really big fat golden nugget this time?
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be what you would expect. I mean, I went in there with the idea of, you know, really concentrating on some performance issues and, you know, and talking the technical stuff, but still I was inspired to redo my digs here. I'm gonna, you know, maybe it was because I was talking to Mark, and I'm always Mark Cashman, because he's got that wonderful studio, and I have a space about the same size, but I'm below grade. Maybe I can build something like that. Maybe not as expensive as his, but I've been looking at different materials and talking to a couple of people, and Leslie Diamond has promised to come over and pull out all my crap. So move all the mementos out of here so we could do this. So I actually think I might strip this place down, and we'll build a really good studio out of here. And that might have been the nugget I got out of it. And also I also learned some stuff from Peter O'Connell about trying to sound a little bit more natural, and that was worth it. And there was a fabulous discussion on rates, and anybody who was there, you know, who's in the chat room that was at that discussion on rates, that was just a really wonderful experience.
I don't think you and I were in any one of the same sessions, because I was there not as a voice actor. I was looking for different input. So I went to one on accounting and just how you run your business. I actually hosted one on what I call getting things done, but it was really more about just productivity and how you run your office. And then I went to one on family and juggling family with work. And wow, that one was really heavy. I mean, you know, there was not a dry eye in that group at one point. We were just, it was really, really inspiring. And I walked out of there with some really good advice as to how to better share my time with my family and my business, and support my wife, who, you know, has been a stay-at-home mom and now is missing being a career woman again, you know, and trying to figure out ways to get her back into being a photographer. So it was, I walked away with some really good stuff and some new contacts, and it was a blast. The whole unconference thing, now that I've done it, I totally get it.
Yeah. You walk away with a stack of cards.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of the great things. And the thing is you get to meet a lot of other voiceover people, and you become friends with them. And then when you go again, it's like a family reunion, but we're all one big family anyway. Absolutely. You want to talk a little bit about some of the other some of the new tech stuff?
Yeah, before we go to the picture, we do have some pics, but so some of the updates that have come out recently, there's a Skype update for the Mac. I'm not sure if the Windows had the same issue, but with Skype for Mac, with some of us would have problems where the Skype would automatically change the level of the recording, and that's called AGC, and that's bad. So they finally added a checkbox in to say, do not, to turn off automatic microphone level control. So if you're not running the latest version of Skype and you're using Skype in your studio for getting direction or phone patching, absolutely make sure you're running the newest update, which I think is 5.6 point blah, 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 on the end. So
yeah, really.
Make sure you have the 5.6 blah, blah, blah update for Mac, so you have that. Apogee released some new updates of their drivers for Lion, macOS Lion. So if you've been having any issues with the Duet and Lion, make sure you get the new updates. If you're on the mailing list, you should have gotten that. Some people have asked me about, I've gotten some emails recently saying, you've told us on the show that Lion is not good. Well, I'm here to tell you that I am now running Lion on our production machine for the show, and it has been absolutely rock solid. Now, this is a Hackintosh, so it's really not a good example, but I will say it has been absolutely rock solid. I've put Lion on my wife's iMac, and it has been running flawlessly. And double check, like I said, if you want to update, just double and triple check that your audio drivers and software are completely compatible. But I'm feeling pretty good about making that step to Lion, which, if you're going to buy a new Mac, is a requirement. You have to have Lion if you buy a new Mac. You can't get one without the other. So I think it's safe. If you've been waiting and holding out, I think now it's finally probably an okay time to jump to buying a Mac.
I mean, you were ready to toss that Macintosh. I mean, you saved yourself a lot of money just by putting in, what is it, $20 for Lion?
Exactly, $30 for the Lion software. When you buy Lion, you get five licenses, so to speak. You can install it on 5 machines, so it's a no-brainer. I mean, it really is no-brainer. Remember the XPAC 8000? Remember that expedition where I shot some video and I interviewed Armando Valdez Kennedy? Well, It turns out that Armando is not going on that expedition.
Oh, but it was still a great report.
It was a cool report. I mean, it was awesome, and I got to meet him and learn everything about it. But he's not going because kind of what I mentioned might be an issue of noise level. Well, they went out and did a test sail, and he had to turn around and come back. He said, I'm not going to be able to work when we're at sea. And he had to pull the plug. So,
and he thought he was.
Yeah, I know. I got to hand it to him for trying to do something that was really, really, I don't know, we can say crazy, but, he really had strong convictions supporting this endeavor. And I got to hand it to him. That it was a brave thing to do, but he was also smart enough to realize it could jeopardize his career, and that's where
his life.
People are willing to risk their lives, but risking your career, that's a whole nother.
Yeah, it's a whole nother.
Yeah, it's a whole nother thing. So he's not doing it, and he actually asked me about. But I still want to go out on a boat and sail the world. So I need a voiceover booth on a boat. I need you to help you. I need you to help me. So we'll see how that goes.
That's going to be a custom design boat. I think you need a bigger boat.
Yeah, exactly. It ain't going to be 30 feet.
We're going to need a bigger boat.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
So.
Speaking of nice boats, I think we got some pictures of people's studios this week. What do we got here?
Well, let's see. We got Jason Lawson sent along 2 shots and a sound sample. His sound sample is mostly just a noise floor sample, which really doesn't translate on the show because of all of our audio processing. But he does very briefly tag or slate the recording. So let me play it for you. See if you can get a judgment of the way the studio sounds. And let me put it on the shot there. All right, there's the studio, and here's what it sounds like.
Hi, I'm Jason Lawson, and this is my noise floor.
Underneath his noise chair there.
Kind of on a high, it's on the high side. The metering we're looking at percolating around minus 40 dB, which is pretty high. Not bad, but I'd say it's a little bit too high to be usable for professional voiceover. What do you think? Minus 40 dB?
Minus 40, I think someone once described it as somebody vacuuming in the other room.
Right.
I think, the good standard, and the standard we use in Savoy is -50, and we dropped it from -40. I find that if you can get your noise floor to -50, then if you have any noise issues, then it's much easier to use a noise gate. It's much more seamless because there isn't as much to hide, and it sounds a lot more smooth. If you've got something loud in the background, 5 or 6 dB is going to make a big difference in there, and you're going to hear it.
Oh, absolutely. Well, here's the space. Looks like
moving
a small
blankets.
Closet with some moving blankets. Very, very basic, simple space. Remember, if it sounds good, it is good.
That's right.
I'm a big fan of moving blankets. Actually, I think they're almost as good as I think they're at least as good as 1-inch thick foam panels, and in some cases as good as 2-inch thick. So
you got to drape them though.
You do. You have to drape them. They have to be pleated a little bit, right?
Yeah. He's using Audition. I'm glad to see that.
It's a very pretty photo. Nice desk. Looks like a corner desk, but I think he might be in a corner. And his monitors and nice clean setup.
Yeah,
well,
and I'll bet it never looks that clean though.
Yeah, exactly. In a real world scenario, we'll just have to figure out where his noise floor problems are coming from. So, Jason, one of us will send you a message about what we think might be causing that problem.
Right. And remember, you can send us audio. We don't charge to analyze your audio, but if it's really bad, we do charge you to help you fix it.
That's right. We'll always give you we'll try to give you an idea of what we think might be the issue, but if you want us to walk you through the problem-solving process, we are available for hire.
We are. And we guarantee our work, and we're good at it.
We do guarantee our work. I mean, we're never going to make anybody pay for something that has no results. So there's always a money-back guarantee, and I can't think of the last time I've had to do that with anybody. But we've got a sample too from Patrick Sweeney. I think we've had pictures of him in the past of his booth, but now we've got actual audio samples. So let me play these two samples. You tell me which is the Rode NT2A and which is the Apogee mic. All right, here we go.
Ever notice how the world has become smaller? People on other continents have become neighbors. Friends speak different languages. And things that are important weave people and places together.
All right, there's the first sample, and here is the second.
Ever notice how the world has become smaller? People on other continents have become neighbors. Friends speak different languages. And things that are important weave people and places together. That's why we do things a little differently at International Paper. Not just in what we make, but how we do it.
All right. All right. What do you think, Dan?
Having heard these before, and if you played them,
heard them.
Yeah, but I couldn't tell which order you played them in. The ears are getting a little bit old. I think the Apogee was may have been the first one, and there's a real. Am I right? First?
Yes, you are.
See, the Apogee. See, now if you had reversed them, I would have really recognized it.
Susan Bernard picked it. Mara Janot picked it. A couple of people picked it. I'm impressed. Even through all the sound processing that you guys are hearing on our show, and you guys still could pick the mic.
Yeah, that shows you what an amazing little device this thing is. I mean, Apogee people, we love your stuff.
Well, we didn't ask everybody what they thought sounded better. We just said which is which. So if you had to pick one or the other, Dan, which would you pick?
Oh, I thought the Apogee mic sounded much clearer. It had a much better. It captures all of the frequencies a little bit better. There was nothing emphasized. It was nice and flat, and it sounded much more natural. Where the NT2 seemed to push the high end just a little bit more, and it seemed a little more tinny.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of had the same idea too. Mind blowing. USB mic, $200.
Yeah, not only a USB mic, but a USB mic that will also directly interface into an iPad, and an iPhone. And I recorded on the iPhone this week, and I thought the quality was outstanding. Yeah. So we've broken the iPhone barrier, folks.
I think so. I think we have. I think we finally have gotten to that point. Now we just need software developers like Source Elements to make the leap and develop software on the iOS.
Yep.
When Source Elements hits iOS, SoundStreak, all these guys, create portable versions of their apps. I mean, it's all over. We'll finally have the ultimate portable system that can do an ISDN-like session.
That's right, and we'll all do it from Doug Turkel's Ferrari.
Exactly,
which sounds fabulous. Anyway,
Anthony has said, has anyone used it for actual audition or job yet? Well, you have, Dan, right?
I have. I've made money with it in my mom's closet in California, and they said, sounds great to us. We couldn't tell the difference. So,
have you done an AT2020 Apogee comparison yet? Shootout?
Not yet.
Okay.
I've been a little busy this week.
Yeah.
Got a lot of stuff going on, which reminds me, I have to remind people that on Tuesday night, we're doing a webinar with VoiceOver Extra on multi-tracking. So if you want to learn a little bit about multi-tracking, we're going to run through some scripts, and I'm going to show you how to make stuff the way commercials sound, the way it's professionally done, so you can learn that extra skill. Go over to VoiceOver Extra and look up the Tuesday night webinar on multi-tracking with yours truly and sign up for that. And then Saturday, I am traveling up to Toronto.
Sweet.
And we're doing an all-day workshop there on home studio.
The VO and TO group?
The VO and TO group and Ellie Ray Hennessy, and we're going to do that at the Oak Studios, and I'm looking forward to it. And because I'm also doing college trips this week. Got a 16-year-old who's now driving and now looking at colleges, so we got to go driving down the thruway and looking at some of the SUNY schools and maybe some other schools while it's spring break. So I got a busy week. But when I have a chance, I will do the 20. I don't think there's any comparison between the 2020 and Mike.
Well, hearing is believing.
We'll see. We shall see.
And we're doing preschool shopping, so. Which apparently we were supposed to start 3 years ago in this area, but yeah.
Yes.
Homeschooling, not so much.
No. Senator Public School.
We had high hopes for that, but the realities of having her home 24/7. It's I think we've moved on from that idea.
I figured you'd eventually get to that.
We'd see the light, yeah.
Anyway, next week. I believe we have a great guest coming on next week, hopefully. I know he said he was going to come. Someone maybe you're familiar with, maybe you're not, but he does a lot of work with HBO. His name is Xavier Paul.
Oh, cool.
And he does stuff for, promos for their boxing and stuff like that. And he's really into voiceover. He's into our show, too. So he wanted to be on, so we'll probably have him next week.
Excellent.
So, everybody, happy Easter for another hour or so, and it's been great having you with us tonight, and you guys stayed with us. We had a great show, great stuff from Rob, great stuff from you, George.
We're having fun, guys. That's all I got to say, and I'm sure, hopefully it shows that, we're having a good time, and we love doing this, so we're going to keep doing this as long as humanly possible. We've got a new sponsor whose name, who is the guy, Dan?
His name is Bob Ball. He's got a podcast. We're waiting to hear from him. He's going to do a commercial for us about this podcast, which is, I'm not exactly sure what it's about. Hopefully it's not for skinheads or something like that, but
yeah, exactly.
I'm going to trust in that it's not about that. Right. But he's very interested in supporting our show. And if you know of anybody that would benefit greatly from supporting our show, feel free to tell them. We're always looking for sponsors. And of course, we have to remind you that you can go to the EWABS shop and get
shop.ewabs.com.
Right.
And you get your swag right there.
Your coffee mugs, your t-shirts, your mouse pads, all sorts of stuff. You can get that there. And of course, there is the donation link on our website, ewabs.com. So support us and support us often. And be here every week.
And thanks for the donations too. We've actually got, I think we just got another donation. Sorry, I don't remember the name right off the top of my head. It just glanced through my email box before we went live. But thanks for those that are still continuing to support us with just your donations too. You know, it's awesome. You guys, the support we're getting back is just fantastic. So it tells us we're doing, a service that you guys really appreciate. So, and when you talk to Harlan, if you do anything, buy anything from them, tell them, that thanks for supporting the show, so that he knows that we're getting through. We're getting the message, getting it out there. So thank you.
And a great way to support Harlan is if you go to either of our websites, either eldorec.com or homevoiceoverstudio.com. If you want to go shopping there, just click the icon in one of our websites, and that lets him know that they got it from us.
That's true.
And that helps a lot. Anyway, I think that's going to wrap it up here from Dan Leonard in the East.
And George Whittam out here in the West.
And we're East West Audio Body Shop. Everybody have a great week. And if you're on spring break with kids, good luck. We'll see you next Sunday here on East West Audio Body Shop.